Chosen ones, listen closely. What I'm about to share is not something that can be ignored. God has decided it must be revealed to you now. Your breakthrough is being divinely activated. Watch closely. They have felt the weight of every trial, the ache of sleepless nights, and the sting of questions with no answer. They have carried pain like a secret flame, unsure if it would ever burn away. Today, they will see that every moment of unrest was a spark igniting a divine reset. Hidden truths are coming to light, and in the next minutes, they will learn how to claim the power that was always theirs. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay tuned until the end, because the revelation waiting will change everything they thought they knew about their destiny. Your pain was preparation for purpose. They have carried doubts like stones in their pockets, each one weighing down their steps as they move through days that felt endless. Maybe you wake in the morning with questions clawing at your mind, unsure the efforts you pour into your work, relationships, and faith will ever bear fruit. You have watched others climb their ladders while you stand still, wondering if you've been forgotten. Yet in the quiet moments when hope felt lost, you sense a hidden current beneath your struggles, a subtle whisper that this season mattered. You are not alone in this feeling of waiting. Many have stood where you stand, hearts brimming with longing, desperate for proof that their pain is not in vain. Today, that proof begins to shine through, and you're about to see that nothing you've endured was wasted. Your nights have been heavy with the echo of doors closing without warning, job offers rescinded, relationships fractured, dreams deferred time and again. You know the ache of rejection so well that you dread answering the phone, fearing another closed chapter. There have been moments when even prayers seemed empty, when you stare at your reflection and asked, "Why me?" The loneliness cut deepest when you watch peers celebrate milestones you could only imagine, while you wrestle with the question of purpose. In the silence of the car parked in the driveway, tears may have fallen unseen, a private tribute to every failed attempt. These experiences shape you, but they do not define you. In that raw place of doubt, you are gathering strength for the role destiny has prepared. Yet, what seems like defeat is often the pivot point of divine design. The prophet Jehoshaphat spoke of battles begun by midnight calls, and in obscure passages of Habakkuk 3 verse 19 we read that, "The Lord God is my strength. He will make my feet like the deer's. He makes me tread on my high places." Your struggles have been the preparation for those high places. When you felt you couldn't breathe, that very moment was a signal. Your spirit was being taught to soar above the storms. Like clay shaped on the wheel, you've been turned, pressed, and smoothed by the pressures of life. This shaping was never random. It was a deliberate act of love, forging a vessel capable of bearing the weight of purpose. Now look for the subtle signs of transformation unfurling in your life. A chance encounter at a coffee shop may carry a message meant only for you. You may notice a sudden clarity in decisions that once felt impossible. Perhaps you feel heat rising in your chest when you speak your truth, an inner fire that refuses to be doused. Even the sunrise seems to hold new brilliance, as if the light itself bows in recognition of your renewal. These are not coincidences, but markers on a divine timeline. Like leaves turning color before the harvest, your circumstances are shifting in perfect alignment, ready to yield the breakthrough planted in your heart long ago. Behind every closed door and every sleepless night, unseen hands have been at work guiding your path. Divine orchestration moves in subtle ways. Synchronicities you chalk up to luck are actually signposts pointing you toward your destiny. When your prayers seemed unanswered, they were merely rehearsals for prayers that will reshape reality. God's strategies, hidden from human eyes, have been clearing obstacles, rerouting events, and even using others, sometimes unknowingly, to pave your way. Trust that the same power that hung the stars is gently removing barriers from your life, turning what once felt like burdens into stepping stones for your greatest ascent. But awareness alone isn't enough. You must choose to embrace this transformation. It's natural to cling to what feels familiar, even if it has caused pain, because the unknown can be frightening. Many recoil when they sense the call of true change, worrying they won't recognize themselves afterward. This is the sacred crossroads where courage must meet conviction. The moment you decide you will no longer resist the forging fire is the moment you step fully into your calling. The universe waits in silent anticipation for your consent. Refuse to let fear dictate your path. The invitation has been extended, and now is the time to step forward without hesitation. Now that you see the signs and sense God's hand guiding you, take your next step with boldness. Release the doubts that have tethered you to past failures. Speak your vision out loud, even if it trembles on your lips, and watch how your words claim the life once promised only in dreams. Deepen your spiritual practice in whatever way resonates, whether through early morning reflection, a quiet walk in nature, or gathering with kindred spirits who remind you of your worth. Plant each foot with the knowledge that you are chosen, and allow your actions to mirror the truth stirring within. The world needs the gifts you carry. It is time to let them shine. Your journey through pain was never a punishment, but a masterful preparation for purpose. Each tear has watered the seeds of your destiny, and now you stand on the brink of revealing the leader, healer, and visionary you were born to be. The turning of the seasons in your spirit is undeniable. Let it awaken you to the full scope of your calling. Remember, your story is not merely about overcoming hardship, but about transforming suffering into a legacy of hope. Comment purpose if this resonates with you, and affirm that every struggle has led you to this sacred moment. Special thanks to our devoted members who walk this path daily. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us, awakening the divine DNA. They have sat in quiet rooms, heart heavy with questions that seem to echo off the walls. In the stillness before dawn, doubts swirl like mist, hiding the promise they sense just beyond reach. They wonder if their restless mind is a curse instead of a clue. They wrestle with the feeling that something deep within stirs for a reason they cannot name. Yet they are not alone. Many souls share this silent ache, a longing that words can barely touch. This moment matters more than it seems. Hidden beneath the weariness lies a key to truths waiting to be unlocked, where the unease they feel is the first sign of a power awakening. In the space between doubt and hope, an invitation emerges, one that may reshape everything they thought they knew. They have chased answers in crowded rooms only to find their voice drowned out by noise. They have turned to mirrors in search of purpose, watching their reflection return questions back at them. There have been heartbreaks that cut to the bone, friendships that faded without a word, careers stalled by forces beyond their control. Each setback left a mark, a thorn of confusion lodged deep in their spirit. They know the sting of rejection, the frustration of talent ignored, the sorrow of prayers that seemed to vanish into thin air. In those raw moments, hope felt like a flicker dying in the wind. But it is here in the heart of that struggle that the seed of transformation quietly took root, waiting for the right moment to break through. What if these trials were not random acts of fate, but part of a deliberate plan to shape them? In the lesser-known verse of Exodus 31, verse 3, it is said that God filled Bezalel with the Spirit of God, giving him skill, ability, and knowledge in all kinds of crafts. Their struggles have been a workshop, each challenge a tool in the hands of a divine artisan. The heartbreak, the doubt, and the nights spent wrestling with purpose were not meant to break them but to refine their spirit. Like raw or heated in a forge, they have been tempered for a destiny far greater than comfort. This moment is a turning point, the hinge on which their old life swings to reveal a purpose stronger than any fear. Now, subtle shifts begin to ripple through their days. A simple tune on the radio speaks directly to their heart. A passing stranger's words linger long after the conversation ends. They wake from vivid dreams that carry messages too clear to dismiss. Their hands, once still, now tingle with energy that dances just beneath the skin, calling them to touch, to heal, to believe. The task they once shrank from feels somehow easier, as if guided by an unseen hand. These signs are the first shoots of a new season. Just as spring pushes through winter's frost, these moments prove that profound change is blossoming in perfect timing, steered by forces that bend time and space on their behalf. Behind the scenes, divine currents shift mountains and move rivers in ways they cannot see. Every coincidence holds purpose. The friend who shows up at the right moment, the job offer that appears when self-doubt peaks, the book that falls open to just the verse they need. These are not random acts of kindness, but strategic alignments orchestrated by a power that delights in their rise. Psalm 37 verse 23 reminds them that the steps of a man are established by the Lord when he delights in his way. Their path has been cleared not because they earned it, but because they were chosen, prepared through every hardship to fulfill a calling written long before they walked this earth. At this threshold, recognition alone is not enough. They must choose to step forward, even when the ground feels unfamiliar. Many resist this moment, afraid that embracing the unknown will strip away their sense of safety. The mind recoils at the idea of being changed so deeply. Yet this is a sacred crossroads, to accept the call or retreat into the comfort of doubts. True alignment demands courage, an unwavering decision to trust what they cannot fully understand. It is in this choice that they affirm their place in a grand design, willing to be shaped further by the hands that have carried them through every trial. Now empowered by these signs and divine alignments, they stand ready to claim their new reality. They no longer need to whisper their dreams in hidden corners. They can speak them aloud with conviction. Each day, they can deepen their practice, rising at dawn for moments of stillness, reaching out to others in kindness, stepping into opportunities that once felt too bold. Fear no longer holds the reins. Faith does. They recognize that their gifts are not optional extras, but vital threads in a tapestry of hope. With each action rooted in belief, they weave a new story, one of purpose fulfilled and lives transformed by the light they carry. Every trial, every tear, every restless night has been preparation for this very chapter. The awakening they feel is proof that their journey was never in vain. As they embrace their divine DNA, they join a lineage of souls called to heal, to lead, and to shine. They are no longer hidden sparks, but flames set to light the way for others. Comment activated if this resonates with you, and claim the truth that their power has been rising within all along. And to every soul who supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here. The 3 a.m. prayer portal. They lie awake in the still darkness, heart pounding as every worry feels louder when the world is asleep. They press their palms to the cold sheets, longing for peace, only to find their thoughts racing like restless birds in a cage. In these quiet hours, doubts circle like vultures, questions of purpose, faith, and worth. They wonder if something is wrong with them for feeling this drawn to a time most fear. Yet in that very tension lies the promise of something greater. They are not broken for waking at 3 in the morning. They are being invited to a secret door that opens only at this sacred hour. What they feel as loneliness is the first sign of an intimate encounter waiting just beyond their fear. They have tried to drown out the silence with soft music, late night scrolling, even restless pacing from room to room. There have been nights when tears fell unnoticed, each drop carrying a prayer that seemed to vanish into the emptiness. They have asked themselves if God hears them, or their cries echo off an empty sky. They have stood at crossroads, torn between the urge to hide under blankets and the pull to search for answers in the darkness. Their spiritual journey has felt like walking a tightrope above a canyon, every step trembling with uncertainty. This heavy weight of seeking has shaped them, yet it has also prepared them for a moment when faith and clarity meet. Then comes a turning point, a whisper in the soul that this restlessness is no accident but a call to rise. In Habakkuk 2 verse 1, the prophet declares, "I will stand at my watch and station myself on the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me." They realize their sleepless hours are their lookout post, a place appointed for divine communication. Their struggle to find rest was never meant to be punishment, but preparation, a training ground for the sacred vigil. When they accept that their nighttime unease is actually a gift, the narrative shifts. The darkness becomes not a void but a canvas upon which answers will be painted in whispers, symbols, and sudden knowing. Already they notice subtle shifts. A phrase from a song drifts through the window, landing in their mind like a message stitched directly to their heart. They awaken with ideas, so clear they write them down by the soft glow of their phone. A breeze at the open window carries with it a strange comfort, as if the night itself breathes encouragement through the rafters. Their dreams stretch longer, filled with images that echo real-life solutions. Even the air seems charged, humming around them like a quiet chant. These are the first shoots of divine timing pushing through the soil. They cannot dismiss these moments any longer. Something unprecedented is stirring. Behind the scenes, unseen hands are guiding every detail of their path. Doors have opened in daylight that they did not fully understand, but now recognized as part of a chain of events triggered in the hour before dawn. Synchronicities appear. An old friend reaches out just when they need a reassurance. A book lands in their lap with the exact words they must hear. At 3 a.m, the veil between heaven and earth thins. Their prayers, once met with silence, are now answered with precision. Faith and manifestation weave together, proving that their calling is not wishful thinking, but a destiny being crystallized by higher forces who delight in their rise. They stand at a crossroads between hesitation and surrender. Many resist this invitation, fearing that embracing such a profound shift will leave them changed beyond recognition. They cling to old routines because they are known, even if they feel empty. Yet true alignment demands more than acknowledgement of signs. It requires bold action. This is a sacred moment when they must decide to leap into the unknown, shedding the comfort of sleep for the clarity of vigil. To stay asleep is to miss the altar calling their name. To wake is to step into a covenant written in the silence of pre-dawn light, a pact that promises transformation. Now that they recognize the power of this portal, they can claim it as their own. They set their alarms not with dread but with anticipation, preparing journal pages, candles, or a simple glass of water by their bedside. When the clock flicks at 3 a.m, they sit or kneel with intention, breathing deeply, releasing every fear with each exhale. They speak their hopes aloud or whisper them into the hush, trusting that every word carries weight in the realm beyond sight. They let gratitude flow first, opening the door to answers and guidance. In these moments, they become architects of their destiny, active participants in the divine dialogue unfolding in real time. Their sleepless nights were never a curse, but a prelude to their greatest breakthroughs. The 3 a.m. prayer portal is the hidden door through which power leaps and destiny speaks. When they step into this hour, they claim the heritage of prophets, mystics, and seekers who rose at midnight to shape history. Let the world sleep while they awaken to their purpose. Comment midnight if this resonates with you, and affirm your place at the lookout post where heaven meets earth. Crystalline body transformation. They have felt the pull of gravity in ways that reach beyond the physical, a heaviness in their limbs that mirrors the weight on their heart. Mornings arrive with stiffness in the joints, as if the body itself resists the light of a new day. In these low moments, they question whether this tug is a sign of aging, illness, or something deeper. They whisper to themselves that perhaps they are meant to accept decline as inevitable. Yet beneath that doubt lies a quiet invitation. What if the very force that seems to hold them down is urging them to rise into a new form? What if there's a hidden current lifting them toward a brilliance they cannot yet imagine? In this tension between gravity and grace, they stand at the threshold of a transformation that will rewrite the laws they've long believed unbreakable. They have spent years wrestling with bodies that felt too dense for the spirit they carried. The mirror reflected a face lined by worry, shoulders bent by the unrelenting weight of expectation. Conversations about lightness and elevation felt like distant fantasies, spoken by poets and mystics, not by those living bills and deadlines. In the dead of night, they pressed their hands against the cold wood of their bed frame and prayed for relief, unaware that these moments of desperation were part of a grand tapestry. They have known the frustration of yoga poses that refuse to align, the frustration of healing rituals that seem to offer no change. In the crucible of such struggle, they yearn for proof that their discomfort is not a punishment but a preparation. And then comes a turning point where faith begins to replace fear. In Ezekiel's vision of the Valley of Dry Bones, Ezekiel 37 verses 1 to 14, we see how scattered fragments can be remade into a whole body pulsing with life. They recognize that their own trials are not arbitrary cruelties, but necessary steps in a divine symphony of rebirth. Each ache has been a note, each stiff joint a beat in the drum that calls their new form into being. They discover that the same spirit who breathed life into those ancient bones is at work in their cells, waiting for them to speak the words that open the gates of transformation. When they accept this truth, the narrative of decay begins to shift into a prophecy of rebirth. Already they notice subtle tremors beneath the surface of ordinary life. They wake with a brightness in their eyes that did not exist before, as if a new light has taken residence within. Their skin sometimes tingles with a warmth that seems to rise from the core, carrying whispers of a crystalline glow forming under the surface. They find themselves drawn to clear, reflective surfaces not out of vanity, but out of a yearning to see the new contours taking shape. Even mundane tasks, the stirring of a cup of tea, the turning of a key in the lock, carry within them a resonance, a reminder that every action now reverberates in higher frequencies. This is a quiet unveiling of their crystalline body, a metamorphosis choreographed with precision by divine timing. Behind the scenes of this awakening, they discover that unseen alliances are being forged on their behalf. People they barely know offer unexpected kindness, an email from a former colleague praising their work, a stranger at the store urging them with a smile. They stumble upon passages of scripture in the most unlikely places, like Habakkuk 3 verse 4, where the prophet describes God's brightness as like the light, signaling that their own glow is not an accident but a reflection of the divine. Synchronicities multiply. A song lyric that speaks directly to their heart, a telephone call that arrives at just the right moment. Each coincidence is a stroke in a painting that maps out their destiny, showing them that faith and manifestation are woven threads in the same tapestry. At this juncture, recognition alone is not enough. They must choose to step fully into the light. It is natural to resist, to cling to the known weight of the past, because transformation feels like a leap into uncertainty. Many recoil at the idea of bodies becoming vessels of pure light, fearing that people will see them as strange or ungrounded. Yet in 1 John 3 verse 2, we read that when Christ appears, we shall be like him, suggesting that their destiny is not merely metaphorical but literal, to inhabit a form that reflects divine glory. This moment demands a decision, to shrink back into comfort or to rise, embrace the unknown, and claim their inheritance of light. Now that they sense the body they have will not hold them, they can commit to the practices that anchor this transformation. They might begin with moments of quiet reflection at dawn, inviting the day to find them already shining. They might choose nourishment that lightens, fresh fruits, pure water, foods that resonate with vitality. Movement becomes a celebration rather than a chore. Yoga flows that honor the fluidity of energy, dance that rejoices in the spark within. They speak affirmations that align body and spirit, declaring that each cell hums at a higher frequency and that ordinary matter is becoming holy ground. In these actions, they give shape to the vision, co-creating the vessel that will carry the light. They have been called to more than mere healing. They have been invited into the ranks of those whose very presence illuminates the world. Every step they take now carries the promise of hope for others. Their struggle with heaviness has been the anvil on which their crystalline form is forged. As they move through the day with increasing ease, they embody a living testament that divine alchemy can turn flesh and bone into pure light. Their legacy awaits claim, ready to radiate through every interaction, every smile, every gesture of compassion. Their body is not a barrier, but a breakthrough. The shift they feel in their bones and blood is the first draft of a new scripture written in beams of light. This transformation is as real as the air they breathe, as tangible as the warmth under their skin. Embrace this ascent. Let the crystalline radiance reshape your story. Comment crystal if this resonates with you, embracing your royal spiritual lineage. They have sensed something stirring beneath the surface of their everyday life, a whisper of greatness that tugs at their spirit when the world expects them to remain small. In moments of quiet doubt, when bills pile up, relationships strain, or their inner voice tells them they're not enough, they feel an unspoken royalty calling them forward. You might recognize this tension within yourself, the pull between hiding in the shadows and rising to claim the throne you never knew you sat upon. You are not alone in this battle, for countless souls share this hidden lineage, waiting for the signal to awaken. The hour is now, and the invitation extends beyond the confines of fear into a realm where your true heritage awaits. Beneath the symptoms of frustration and uncertainty lies a truth that will transform every step you take, if only you are willing to listen to the echo of eternity in your own heart. They know the weight of feeling unworthy when every sign points toward purpose. There have been moments of staring at an email inbox emptied overnight, wondering if their gifts have any value at all. They have felt the sting of overlooked proposals, the ache of conversations ending without genuine connection, and the drain of pouring themselves into tasks that spark no recognition. Their personal journey has felt like wandering a vast palace in darkness, never finding the key to unlock its hidden chambers. Late at night, they question whether their calling is simply wishful dreaming. In these raw moments, they search for meaning like a miner scraping earth for a gleaming vein of gold. This struggle is not a random hardship, but the crucible forging their awareness of a lineage that transcends every closed door and every silent prayer. Then comes a moment when perspective shifts and the struggle transforms into proof of preparation. In Psalm 45, verse 16, an often overlooked verse, the psalmist declares that, "Instead thy fathers shall be thy children, whom thou mayest make princes in all the earth." They realize that their hardships have been the royal court teaching them the art of leadership, empathy, and strength. Every setback has been a lesson in compassion for those they will one day guide. Every rejection, a training ground for resilience they will infuse into others. This moment of revelation reframes their past not as a series of failures, but as essential steps in a divine mandate to rule, not with arrogance, but with humility and purpose. The path they walked alone and prepared them to walk with authority, forging a legacy that spans generations. Now subtle cues begin to surface in their daily life, revealing that their heritage is not merely symbolic, but alive within them. They notice a subtle shift in their posture, as if invisible shoulders lift, carrying a weight that feels more like purpose than burden. When they speak, there's a clarity in their tone that commands attention, not through force but through quiet confidence. In their dreams, they walk through gilded halls, greeted by faces they can't name but whose presence warms their spirit. Friends and strangers alike look to them for guidance in ways they once found daunting. Even mundane encounters, the barista who remembers their name, the stranger who asks their opinion, become signals of a destiny being woven into their everyday reality. These are the signs that divine timing is orchestrating every detail of their emergence. Behind these shifts, unseen hands align circumstances to showcase their authority. They find mentors who recognize their potential, offering guidance that resonates like forgotten prophecy resurfacing. Opportunities emerge at the most unexpected moments, a chance to speak at a local event, an invitation to a collaborative project that values their insights, a call to counsel a friend in crisis. Each door that opens, each connection formed, feels guided by a force beyond coincidence. In the Book of Esther, Queen Vashti was replaced by someone of hidden worth, prepared in secret until the perfect hour. Similarly, their struggles have not been tests of endurance alone, but the blueprint for leadership divinely crafted. These synchronicities confirm that their calling is not a whim, but fulfillment of a royal decree written long before their first breath. At this threshold, a choice emerges: to fully embrace their lineage or to shrink back into comfort. Many hesitate, fearing that stepping into such authority will isolate them or invite criticism. They worry that leading others will demand sacrifices they feel unprepared to make. Yet true alignment with their heritage demands more than acknowledging signs. It requires a courageous leap into the identity waiting to be claimed. This sacred moment echoes Abram's call in Genesis 12, verse 1, when he was told to leave his country for a promise he had never tasted. Like Abram, they must trust the unseen to guide each footstep, accepting that their royal bloodline is not a fancy title, but a living, breathing responsibility that beckons them forward. Now they stand poised to enact the next chapter of their ascension. They can speak affirmations each morning, declaring themselves heirs to a spiritual kingdom meant for healing and leadership. They can reach out to those in need, offering counsel drawn from the wisdom forged in their own trials. They can cultivate a practice of daily reflection, inviting guidance that aligns their decisions with their higher calling. By surrounding themselves with allies who share their vision, they reinforce the magnetic field of their authority. In every action, small or grand, they embody the grace and strength of one who rules a kingdom not of this world, but one that pulses in every heartbeat of humanity. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment, "I am chosen," to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members who carry this vision forward. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. They are awake now. Let them rise.